Hi, I've been getting a lot of requests lately from people that want to know more about the pullback and why I haven't said anything on it. And basically, you know, I consider all of these movements in gold and silver just short-term noise. And what I am interested in is where they're going to be going ultimately. The worst thing that I can do for somebody is to try and call a top and recommend not buying gold or silver. There's going to come a day where one of these tops isn't a top. It looks like a top to all the technical analysts, but then it's just going to keep on running. And so to tell somebody not to buy when gold and silver look a little overbought, or when a potential, you know, the commitment of traders report, all these technical analyses say that there could be a drop in the price of silver, and then some news comes from around the world. You know, gold and silver are not just a commodity, they are money, and they react to economic crises around the world. So there's going to come a day where all the technical analysts are wrong, and gold and silver is going to take off like a rocket. And if I keep somebody from buying gold and silver, I have just kept them from protecting themselves with money, and they stay in currency instead when the currency is headed towards zero, which is going to happen someday. But you know, I was just talking with one of the guys that works with me here, Nick, and Nick was telling me that when he first bought, he bought on a peak. And basically I told him this story. It's the same story I've told before. The first time I bought when gold's spot price was $315. And it started taking off right away, and it ran up and up and up. And I kept on saying, should I buy more? Should I buy more? No, I'll wait for a pullback. And finally I go, it's not going to pull back, and I run in and I buy it at $392. And the next day it started falling, and it kept on falling all the way to $325. So from $392 to $325, that's a huge percentage. And I was just punishing myself for, it took almost a year to get back past that previous high where I had purchased. But man, do I wish that I could go and make that same mistake today, because it was the best mistake I ever made. And you know, Nick over here was just telling me that that's exactly where he started, with the same type of mistake. And it's not a mistake in the long run. It's the best thing that you can do for yourself. So I don't pay attention to the short-term noise. I was up writing my chapter of my next book, and that to me was the important thing to get done. Now I know that if you just bought silver at 40, you know, I was buying in the 40s also, and here we are down in the 30s, and I'm still buying in the 30s. Every pullback is a gift. Every pullback is another buying opportunity. You just scrape up some more. And for those of you that took a whole bunch of dollars and converted them into money by buying gold or silver back when silver was in the 40s, yeah, I know that it hurts, but it's temporary. We're going to get past this. You only have a loss when you sell your silver, convert them back into currency, convert it into dollars, and you lock in that loss. You make it real. You have a certain number of ounces of gold and silver. I just keep on trying to increase those number of ounces. That's how I measure my wealth. So I don't actually pay attention to the short-term noise, which is the current news. Because the news, they're telling you what just happened. They're not telling you what's going to happen in the future. That's what I'm more interested in. But we do here at goldsilver.com have somebody that does analysis of the short-term noise and tries to help figure out what's going on right now. And his name is Christian Garcia, and he's got a couple of updates every week, and you can subscribe to alerts for these updates on the link below here. One of the things that I've really enjoyed lately, though, is getting to know all of these YouTubers out there that are also trying to figure out what's going on. I've sat recently with the Silver Futurist, Jackie O, John at Stella Concepts, and Chris at the Weekly Telegram. And now we've got a new one that I'd like you to meet. Okay, we've been making some videos lately on how the internet is changing everything, the instant spread of information. And I usually don't keep up with what I call the short-term noise. I don't watch the latest news and see what's happening right now, because they're telling you what just happened yesterday, basically. I try and look at like the monetary aggregates at the Federal Reserve and try and predict what's going to happen in the future. But it is critical that we have people watching and analyzing what is going on right now and trying to interpret how that is going to affect us. And one of those people that does a great job is a guy called Street Money 21, and he's here.
Yeah, man. I'm here with the legend Mike Maloney. I hope you YouTubers out there are doing well, and you know, this is a great event for me, you know, to actually sit here and be able to have coffee and a conversation with you. Thank you.
Thanks. So we were talking about the bank in Europe, and we were talking about silver.
Yes.
So
with silver, we had a recent pullback, and so I really like to take time to explain to you basically what happened. With the silver pullback, the financial institutions in Europe were falling under a credit crunch, and so they didn't have capital. They couldn't borrow from each other because the interest rates that they charge each other were too high. And in fact, the financial system in Europe is actually is borrowing money from the European Central Bank, which in turn the European Central Bank is borrowing money from the Federal Reserve. So, you know, there's this huge shell game of how they switch things around. And so, you know, there's been rumor now about Dexia, the bank that's in Belgium, and that bank is now being nationalized. And so they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay for the nationalization because Belgium doesn't have enough money to cover the assets that the bank has. France is going to have to eat some of the losses, and then they're going to have to try and bring in some type of foreign investor, you know, to buy up some of the assets as well. And so this is not going to end well. And so with this volatility, you have to take this in stride and see this as an opportunity where, you know, you should be picking up gold and silver on the cheap. I mean, when I look at silver right now, we're kind of in this range where, you know, we're between 29 and 32. And, you know, you should continue to try and accumulate as much physical as you can because these prices are not going to last, okay? Once things move at a faster pace, you're going to continue to see investment in silver just pouring in where people are trying to preserve their wealth.
yeah, I say that every pullback is a gift.
Yes, it is.
And so, you know, I'm buying. I buy all, you know, a little bit all the time though. And, but I was just, you know, when it was on its way up to $48, I was going, man, I'm hoping there's a pullback soon.
Yeah, and what was interesting about this pullback was that it was actually a coordinated attack. So, you know, the CME, which I believe they are basically hand in hand with these financial institutions that are basically controlling the world, they telegraph what they're going to do. And so while silver was in a dive, they raised the margin requirements, you know, and then they also hammered copper as well. But what I found even more interesting is that when the financial stocks were falling, they reduced the margin requirements. So it's like they want you to put your money with the financial system, but it's like, oh, don't buy gold and silver, you know. It's like it just amazes me, you know. And so when you know these things and you know that they're basically trying to shake you out of the tree, you need to take that with a grain of salt, and that should give you more resolution into buying more gold and silver when you see prices this cheap.
Yeah, like I said, every pullback's a gift, so take advantage of it. And if you don't have the stomach for a big pullback, don't get into silver. Silver is really volatile. We've got quite a number of researchers at Gold Silver, and we're always trying to keep tabs on this, but it is so good to go out and meet all of the other people through YouTube that are keeping tabs on this whole thing, because you get different perspectives.
Yeah, but you know, it's like organizations like yours, it's like the guiding light. You know, it's like you put information out there and guys like me take that information and do more research to validate what you're doing. It's like when I look at your credibility, I look at you as like a AAA company. You know what I mean?
We try.
And it's important, you know, and that's one of the things that keeps me following you is that, you know, you basically stick with the facts and the truth. And, you know, you're explaining the series of events that's coming, and I'm actually the person that's collaborating your story. I'm like, wow, you know, when you put that information out there, like to give you an example, talking about the Federal Reserve and their balance sheets and how it's going to be a blizzard of money. And if you look at it today, you got the Bank of England's printing money, you got the Swiss National Bank that's printing money to buy euros, you got the Federal Reserve printing money to trade with the European Central Bank to keep the European banks capitalized. I mean, it's just everything that you're saying is coming to truth.
Yeah.
And you know,
I call it printing currency,
Yeah.
though, because they don't know the difference between money and currency.
very true, very true.
They don't know that they don't print money, they print currency. So.
Yeah, no, you got me on that.